Hi guys. Wow, my cameras. What do I do to phones? I just destroy them. It's a new Samsung 7. The camera's turned to shit like everything else. Okay. This is a video to, what's the word? Combat? Alright, there's a lot of videos going around YouTube bagging BMWs as all these smartasses buy E46 piece of shit that have been run into the ground and not maintained. And stuff like that, and they're all bitter and carrying on. BMW has stood now to be above and beyond all the other makes and models in reliability, and more importantly than reliability is, do they fit the purpose, the intended purpose of the demographic of person buying it? Like, I've got a Subaru STI, right? And the headlight's filling up with water, and it does this, and it guzzles fuel, and it stinks, and it uses 16 litres per kilometre, per 100 Ks, but does it go around corners like a bloody tiger? Yeah. Does it smoothly deliver and pump power out over the rev band? Yes. Do the brakes instantly wipe off speed? Yes. Does it drive like it's square? Yes. Does it sound like a jet? Yes. So above and beyond reliability here. Reliability is very questionable when you're in this industry and you actually see the things that people do to cars, right? So, when the first owner does 30,000 Ks on the oil and the Vanos all blocks up at 90,000, well, you wonder why. The evidence is always there for the good mechanic to find. Now, above and beyond reliability, fitting the intended purpose. Now, this customer bought this car used. I suggested it to them. They do one day a week driving right out of Sydney on the freeway for 2 hours. What is it? It's an X1 diesel. But regardless, and I know I've bagged the 1 Series and the 3 Series and the E90s, but not bagged, but as in, they all the same. And as the old, mixes with the new of the direction of where BMW was going, they still managed to deliver a fantastic car that fits the intended purpose. Now, I'm not going to go into what sort of a full drive this is or anything like that. This is a diesel, right? Check out these seats. The seats are there's no way that's leather. That's not leather, but you know what? That's not leather. There's no way. But they look great. This is a diesel, okay? It's a car you get into, you throw it into drive, and you fucking go, right? Like, the car does exactly what it's meant to do. On top of that, it feels sure-footed, safe, secure, rigid. Okay, all the controls work besides the blocked washer pump motors, which I'll make a video about next week. Everything works nicely. Okay, everything works nicely. And again, it's not specifically about this model. Okay, this is about, look at that, beautiful. This is about BMW across the range. Okay, now we've had a lot of problems with the 120s and the 320s with the oil leaks, and we know that. But this is about a video of comparing this car to Audi. Okay, comparing this car to Volkswagen. That blocks for vibration. Comparing it to those cars that are just falling apart. And this car has many good years left in it. There's no way that this car could be that poor in a crash, though, again, I don't know. And I'm not going into crash worthiness as opposed to other models or stuff like that. It's like the midget. It's like the midget mirror. Oh my God. What this is about is the car meeting the expectations of the customer. Okay? And you've got your heated jets and you've got everything. They've got everything in them. But it's more about, they're very easy to drive, very easy to park, very easy to get parts for, very easy to identify things on. I mean, have you guys tried to find a VIN number on an Audi? You know, like, everything is easy and the parts are easy and they're good to work on. Okay, the car's got proper coverage underneath. It's in stone trays for aerodynamics and all that. And this is why I'm using this X1. This is just an X1. Okay, I don't even know if this car's made in Germany. Okay, but they work great. The doors aren't too heavy. Okay, it's a beautiful car. Okay, and I don't want this car. It's not for me. But fantastic. Good job, BMW. Absolutely great job. Plenty of power and torque in this model, you know, and particularly for the highway. So I'm getting a few BMWs in and Audis again. The rush is coming back on, but I'll make some more videos. But, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube about BMW, a piece of shit. BMWs have got too much technology, and this is what happens when nah. What a bunch of losers. I mean, at the end of the day, respect the Germans for what they do. Now, yesterday morning, I raced up to the back of a brand new E-Class in the Subaru. There was a sudden braking sort of thing going on the road, and you know, I can wipe 60 k's an hour off in very little time. And it wasn't that I didn't see the Mercedes, but the long range radar picked up on my approach speed to the E-Class and it set the hazards off. Now, my car sets the hazards off when I hit the brakes at 130 k's an hour and trigger on the VSC or whatever. But at the end of the day, the Germans have to be respected for being at the forefront of technology and style, and when they stick something on, I mean, you know, this is a proper car. Okay, maybe a lot of people think, oh, I never like European cars. I mean, I wouldn't want to be doing that to my Subaru, you know what I mean? Like, my knee. You know, these are fantastic cars. You can't go wrong. When buying used, you got to look at the history of the oil. The oil. That's what it's about. Not what brake pads it got, not whether they had a computer. It's all about that owner just going, the oil. Now, BMWs, in saying that, are very hard to abuse. There's no system, and not Mercedes either, but Mercedes is next. When I determine from my 26 years experience and the customer, and always asking the customers, have your driving conditions changed? When I determine when a customer needs to come in, I can take one look at a customer and their car and a few questions, and I will write 8,500, 6,000, 3,000, 5,000. Like, my Subaru is 3,900, and that's too much. But when I look at a Corolla and say 7,500, right? Whatever I say, right? Whatever I put here, which I'm not in this instance, because I trust the BMW computer. Whatever I put here, always the car brings it in dead on time. So if I say March 2018, etc., it'll bring it in on that. Now, in the previous video, I did a reset video here, and you might have seen there 60,000, and it's all bullshit. BMW, since the days of the old little counters, measure the short trips. There's a lot going on in their research and development into the programming of these clusters. The shorter your trips, the quicker. Now, if you want to do an experiment with it, write down or make a picture or a note of your service interval and when it says it, and then start your car, leave it running, move it forward, leave it running, drive it up the road, come back, start, stop, leave it running on a Mercedes or a BMW. It will take 400 Ks off your service, okay? And you can drive 100 meters. Now, in saying that, it just shows you what people have to do to abuse the oil on these cars. What the people have to do to abuse the oil on these cars is to absolutely ignore the BMW service warning. Okay, now the Audi service warning and all that, they may be better than they used to be, but they're absolute dog shit. They're not the same as these. They will keep, because with Volkswagen's fraud, right, and they fraud emissions. You think they're not going to fraud the service costs and intervals? So when the fleet buyers say, when GoGet says, let's buy 10,000 Golfs over the Hyundai i20, because the Hyundai's 6 months and the Golf is 10 years and 20,000 Ks, we're seeing very, very well what Volkswagen, they can't even make a 6-month service. Okay, customers are topping up the A4s and the Golfs, and now the GTIs, which were always all right, now they're guzzling the oil down too. Now, all cars use oil. BMW uses the least out of all of them. They're brilliant. Their engines are brilliant. You can overheat, not that you should, but you can overheat a BMW. Overheat. 5 years later, the customer's still driving the car. And, they've had their days of blowing the coolant hoses off and all that. That's all been fixed in these generations. 2008 on, you're not really seeing the cooling system explode like we used to. There was a lot going on back in the day of the M50 and the M52 and all that. But for all these videos saying BMWs are rubbish, no, they're not. BMWs are state-of-the-art cars. I think they're the second biggest automaker in the world or whatever. And it's not to say, but they've got the money to do the development. And I think they're put together very, 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 very well. The steerings don't peel. The seats don't fall apart. They stay in shape. Look at this thing. I mean, go and get a Volkswagen. You'll pull all this straight off. Okay? Look. The rubbers. All about the rubbers with me. Look, they even give you a bit of felt up here. Have a look at this. Okay? And the locking mechanisms are quite good. So, okay, I just got a call from an Audi TT. He goes, I just spent $2,000 at Audi. It should be fine. And I said, oh, yeah, you're not supposed to tell me that. What did you spend $2,000 on? Oh, the front doors didn't open. So it happens on Jaguar. I've made a video about it on the Renault Kangoo previously. Audi TT, Audi, Volkswagen, the lock. There's a little spring in there that collapses and then it doesn't do this. Right? It's a tiny little spring. Every car on earth has it. Maybe even a Tesla. And they had to rip his door trims. And for me to hear, I always think, there's a way. No, there's not. He said they had to wreck the car and charge me $2,000 at Audi. Audi would have sent the car to a panel beater. And what they do is they, something just locked itself. What they do, they break everything. When a door doesn't open, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. I mean, maybe this would be cheaper, but whatever it is, it costs him $2,000. He doesn't drive it. It's got like 15,000 Ks on it. That's an Audi TT. I'll make a video about that next week when he comes in, right? You don't get that with BMW. Of course, you're going to get lock failures like on an E-Class, but I mean, fitting the purpose, not destroying tyres excessively. Even though I tell the customers, look, it's heavy on tyres. Yeah, it's heavy on tyres. They don't like our roads. They never have. It's not a Subaru. You're not going to get 30,000 Ks out of them. She's just replaced these tyres not long ago. You know what I mean? Those tyres were replaced about 15,000 Ks ago and they're nearly fucked. The back one here has totally chopped out on the inside. Okay, so that's something there's something going on with the geometry of the suspension. But generally, BMWs don't wear heavily on tyres either. Okay, so that's my rant. I've just got very upset seeing all these young guys going, this is what the M3 and this is the... Mate, BMWs have only gotten better, unlike others that have only gotten worse. And that includes Mercedes-Benz. Shame on you with your new wagon and all the rubbish going on. I know firsthand your cars are turning off at roundabouts and stopping on the freeway and pissing power steering stuff out. And, mate, enough is enough. Okay, Mercedes-Benz, you've fucking moved into the top 20 most unreliable makes in the US. BMW's not there. But yet you don't see those videos about Mercedes, because Mercedes, it's all or nothing, or we're the best, or the best of what? I get into a Mercedes-Benz, it makes me sick. It always did. Always did. Okay? You push the gas down, the car doesn't fucking move. Okay? And they improved it, but they never had that DNA of sheer driving pleasure. This is very rare. I'll get this car. Okay? I want to drive it. In fact, I just took it up the road and threw a U-turn and hit the brakes just to see any control arm movement. Nothing. Rock solid. Go and get into an ML class Mercedes or a GLA or whatever, and you've got the suspension struggling with the split between, you know, rigidity and comfort and all that. You know, the Mercedes wheels turn all the way, and they turn on a dime, but they don't drive like a BMW. So for all those videos saying BMWs are shit, well, in Sydney, which we've got quite an extreme environment going on here, and over time and over the models, I'm not a BMW specialist, but seeing BMWs come and go, they always get traded in for one reason, and it's because the customer just wants another one, not because they're trading it in for something else. Okay? I've never had a customer say, I'll never buy a BMW. In fact, it's the opposite. People say to me, once you go to BMW, you can never go back. You know, once you go to BMW, you stay with them because it is sheer driving pleasure. In saying that, it's not for me. Not yet anyway. They don't have the DNA and the full drive like Subaru. They don't do it for me. But yeah, therefore I have no bias here. A lot of the videos you're going to see putting you off buying a used BMW and landing you in the shit with some Q5 piece of crap Audi are videos by owners that are biased against the car because they've just bought something that they cannot maintain. And I will not name names. I don't know if you're going to see this, but a good friend of mine did go against my advice. He bought an E46 330i, and it has consumed his life. Okay, an E46 330 Cabriolet. Rule one in life, never buy a Cabriolet of any make or model. 2 doors is hell for some reason. But this guy spent $10,000 on parts, and those cars are notorious for cracking the rear frame of the independent suspension, the mounting points above in the floor. And in Australia, BMW aren't doing anything about that. In the US, they get much better after service, after warranty support and stuff like that. So that's my rant.